Michelle.
They will also be online.
Okay.
So
It's hard, I find. Like Zoom is difficult.
it is because you can see everybody on this part of the U pretty well. Those people less, and then everybody else.
I know when you watch it online, it's a real hit and miss of like.
Yeah, and if there's a presentation, you really can't see
I don't like French fries.
the people. You can see the presentation, but we're live.
Oh, okay. All right. We're live, everybody. And I guess it is, let's see, 6:02. It is October something, the 9th or the 10th. I think it's the 9th today, 2025. And we'll call this meeting of the Planning and Heritage Advisory Committees to order. And we'll start with attendance.
Mayor Zabian,
Present.
Councillor Leary Pinch, Councillor Ivy,
Present.
Tim Carr,
I'm here.
Jane Davis.
Present. Whoops.
Vito Ferlani said he's running late. KJ Conyer-Steed is not here. Michel Bourgeois is not here. Mark Keogh,
Present.
thank you.
That's everybody. Great. Thanks, everyone. So just some announcements to start. Happy October. It's a beautiful, beautiful month, probably the prettiest one, I think, in our region. So if you're able to go out and go for a hike or whatever, be sure and do that because it is lovely. I have no announcements. I do want to mention that this coming month in Hantsport at the Churchill House, historic Churchill House, they will have their haunted house and escape room. So it's many, many days and it's so terrifying. And I recommend everybody go. I've asked if they temper the level of horror and they really don't. So you're in for it if you go. So go and enjoy for sure. Does anyone else have anything you'd like to say? Stuff going on? Mark?
I got a whole list, so bear with me.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, or sorry, Saturday, the Upper Vaughan Fire Hall has their auxiliary big breakfast, and it starts at 7 a.m. That's Saturday, October 11th. Or sorry, 8 a.m. It's 7 a.m. online, but we'll say 8 a.m. so you're not there too early. The ever popular chair exercise is back at the Upper Vaughan Hall, and it begins on August 15th. And that's a Wednesday at 1 p.m. to 1:45. They're for $10. You get 8 sessions. It goes every Wednesday, and that is a program brought to us by the municipality. And it probably is nearly full. So if you want to participate, contact the rec department here at municipality and get registered. There's only a couple seats left on that one. And beginning at the Upper Vaughan Hall, we now have darts. It's going to be a monthly event. It starts on October 16th at 6:30. It's $5 a play. It's mixed play. Everyone's welcome. You don't need a partner, and it'll continue every month on the third Thursday forever.
Thanks.
District 7 is very fortunate to have a local 4-H club in the community. The Border Riders 4-H Club is based out of the Upper Vaughan Hall and will be hosting their annual open house and registration event Thursday, October 21st at 6:30. It's open to youth 7 to 21. It's $75 for the whole year. And the youths can participate in a range of projects: foods, crafts, building blocks, great outdoors, gardening, goats, lumberjack sports, poultry, rabbits, and more. Stop by. There'll be food, animals, and games, and you can meet the club leaders who can answer all your questions. And finally, cribbage on Thursday, October 23rd at the Upper Vaughan Hall, and play starts at 6:30. And all of these events, if I went through them too quickly or you didn't get a chance to jot down the times and stuff, can be found on the Upper Vaughan Community Facebook page.
Cool. Very good. You reminded me, Mark, as well, in Sweets Corner at the community hall this month, I know there's live music and an auction for sure, and sort of other things happening around that event. I'm going to say it's the 25th, but look it up because I feel like it's around then. So yeah, check it out. There's so much happening at our community halls. It's really nice. I learned a phrase today. I was watching something about how important it is to continue to socialize in today's age, and the phrase was social fitness, because we have to exercise, keep good at being social, everyone. So these are great opportunities for social fitness. So the agenda, I don't think there are any additions or deletions or anything like that. So I don't believe we need a motion to approve it. If everyone's okay with that, we'll just move on to point 4.0, which is a declaration of conflict of interest. Does anyone have anything that you might, not be able to talk about? No, I see no lights. Nothing on screen. So we'll seek approval for the minutes from our September the 11th meeting 2025. And they were, of course, circulated to everyone shortly after that meeting within a couple of weeks. So would anyone like to make a motion to approve our previous minutes? Thank you, Mayor Zabian. Would anyone like to second it? Thank you, Councillor Larry Pinch. And we'll put this to a vote. All those in favor, a clear show of hands. It looks unanimous. Perfect. So we're gonna move on to new business, which normally we have a number of files. I know for new business tonight, we just have one file that we're gonna focus on. So Planner Hong is gonna walk us through this one. Go ahead, Will.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So the application before this committee tonight is regarding a rezoning application for PID 45285103 in Old Walton Road at Upper Burlington. So to start, I'd like to give a little bit background for this application. So the property is owned by West Hands Regional Municipality since 1998, and then it was leased to the Upper Burlington Community Hall Association in the year of 2000. And on May 13 this year, the Hands Shore Child Care Association made a presentation in front of council and asked them to grant the land for the purpose of a child care facility. And on July 8th, 2025, council approved a motion in the meeting to deem this property as surplus and directs the chief administrative officer to apply an application to the planning department for rezoning this property. So we received a complete application from Mark Phillips, the CAO, on July 18th this year to rezone the property to provide an opportunity to the Hands Shore Child Care Association to explore establishing a licensed child care center. And this slide shows the ortho photo for the subject property. It has road frontage on both Highway 215 and Old Walton Road, and it is approximately 3 acres in size. And in terms of the surrounding area, you can find a lot of single unit residents, the Upper Burlington Community Hall, and also some farms. And this slide shows the generalized future land use map of the West Hands municipal planning strategy, which shows the property and the surrounding properties are all designated agriculture. And this slide shows the current zoning, and it's currently zoned open space, which permit a variety of open space uses, such as cemeteries, outdoor recreation uses, parks and playground, and so forth. And on the proposed zoning, staff recommend rezoning the property to institutional zone because we have heard some concerns from the public about how this proposal could affect the existing land use pattern in this rural neighborhood. And so by rezoning to the institutional zone, this will better reflect the intended use of the property, which is to address community needs for a childcare facility. And at the same time, it will provide a clear framework for what can and cannot happen on the site, which helps prevent any unintended commercial use beyond what's being proposed tonight. And because daycare center is currently not a permitted use in the institutional zone, part of the application also includes a text amendment to the West Hands land use bylaw, which in this case will add the daycare center licensed or non-licensed to the permitted use in this zone. And the next few slides, just some pictures of the subject lot. This picture was taken last month, which shows the subject lot as viewed from Highway 215. And the subject lot also features the 1760 planter trail, along with an interpretive sign that tells the heritage history behind the Upper Burlington art area in general. And here is another pictures from the old Walton Road. And this is a preliminary site plan submitted by the Hands Shore Child Care Association, which basically outlines their vision for this proposed development. So as you can see from, I'm not sure if you can see my mouth, but the child care facility is located in the center, and there's also a proposed driveway will be accessed through the old Walton Road, and there will also be some featuring some landscaping and expansion of the current trail system along the property lines. And they also intended to keep the historical display on the site, and there will be some gardens as well. And move into the policy part. This is really what enables this application to occur. The West Hands Municipal Planning Strategy is the overarching planning document we look at tonight. So specifically, policy 13.2.2 states that it shall be the policy for council to zone only public lands for open space purposes. And this provides justification to rezone to a more favorable zone for the proposed use to align with council's early motion to provide an opportunity to the Hands Shore Child Care Association for establishing a licensed child care center on the subject lot. So another policy we look at is 16.3.1, which is the general criteria in considering a land use bylaw amendment application. And in summary, this policy has met since the proposal is not considered premature or inappropriate for the area, and no municipal costs related to the proposal are anticipated. And the development officer, manager of building and fire inspection services, district manager of the Nova Scotia Department of Public Works have no concern which have not been addressed in this report tonight. And we first held a public information meeting on September 3rd, which was broadcast live on the municipal YouTube page. And there were approximately 6 members of the public attended the meeting. And staff received over 20 written comments and 2 phone calls during the comment period. So among all the public feedback staff received during the comment period, the majority of them expressed support for this application. And in summary, they stated that this application will address the need for childcare facilities specifically in the Hands Shore area, and it will also significantly reduce the current long wait list for the childcare service in West Hands area in general, and also the benefits to community growth and local job creation. In the same time, staff received several comments in opposition for this development, and some of the main concerns are the potential impact on land use patterns and surrounding residential character, suitability of this location for a facility of this nature, concerns about traffic safety and the capacity of the road network from the proposal, and also concerns about potential loss of heritage and community open space. So in terms of the planning process, we are tonight at the Planning and Advisory Committee for your review and recommendation. Then it will likely go to council for first reading this month and a public hearing and second reading likely in next month. So if the application was approved, then the notice of approval will be placed on paper, which then will outline a 14-day appeal period to the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board. So that concludes my presentation. I have my recommendation on the screen and happy to take any question that this committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Will. So yeah, questions for Will, for Planner Hong about this file and yeah, this area. Anyone have any questions? Mark, yeah.
Just so I understand, the Child Care Association, are they being given the property?
Oh, you go ahead.
Yeah, sure. From my understanding, it basically it's a donation. So basically, we will probably sell the land to them at a less than market value, but I'm not so sure about the specific price for this property.
If I may, Chair, so the land donation or sale or disposal of the land will be a completely separate process, and that is a public process that requires a public hearing and a council decision. So that'll be kind of dealt with separate from this rezoning application.
So just to follow up
Yeah.
through your chair, but just so I understand, should they not have that done before this application comes in?
Through you, Chair. I guess this is sort of the preferred order of going through things. Before any change in ownership of the land, we'll have to go through that public process. So it was just preferred to go in this order to see if council wishes to rezone the property, which would then therefore make it worthwhile selling or donating or whatever that looks like to the Child Care Association.
Okay. I have a question about just the wording and things like that. So it's gonna the amending the text of the West Hants land use bylaw to add daycare centers licensed or non-licensed as a permitted use in the industrial zone. Does wherever that is now, does that stay in? Do you know what I mean? Like there's obviously a type of zone where it is allowed. So is it now in both? Like is it in the industrial? Like if it's added to, do you know what I mean? Like yeah, like so it's going to be added to institutional so that it's allowable, but it must exist somewhere now in some other zoning thing. And I'm just wondering if it will in future, will people be permitted to sort of explore daycares in two different zoning types, or is it being moved just to industrial? Is my question.
Yes, that's a good question. So currently, the daycare centers, licensed or non-licensed, are only permitted in the commercial zones of West Hants. So maybe rural commercial, general commercial, that sort of thing. So we propose to add this use to the institutional zone in knowing that there are some concerns in place. And I also want to note that through our plan review process, we also added this to the institutional zone, so it will ultimately be applicable across the board. So West Hants, Windsor, and Hantsport, so they will all be permitted for the childcare center future for the institutional zone.
Okay, great. Guido, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
My question is hinging on what Mark Kehoe was asking already. It seems a little counterintuitive to me when I use logic. If I'm thinking to purchase something, I usually ask, how much is it? And then I follow through and says, okay, do me an invoice and I will buy it in 3 stances and you will deliver in this way. I find it counterintuitive, even from a municipal perspective, thinking that we don't know how much the donation will be, and it can be symbolic, like $1, and go through the process of approval without knowing what will be the economic or financial exchange. I don't get it. I am an accountant by trade, even if I never exerted professionally, but Yeah, it leaves me. Can someone explain me why this? What does it mean that was decided to be the preferred way? Who decided that is the preferred way, and why?
Thank you, Guido. Kayla, please. Yeah.
So this might make it more clear, Guido, but it wouldn't be of any use for council to even consider, you know, donating, receiving funds below market value, any of the above, to that association for a daycare center if it wasn't zoned this way. It has to be rezoned first. As the zoning sits right now, it cannot be used for that purpose. So therefore, there's not really any discussion to be had. So the land has to be rezoned to be able to open the ability to have that discussion.
Oh, I see. Thank you, Kayla. So probably I came later to the discussion. I didn't understand and sorry I was late. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So we are not approving the project. We are approving the change of zoning.
Correct.
Okay, now it makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So Guido, our sort of role tonight is to to look at the recommendation, I guess, on the board, and because all the stuff that may or may not happen later, like that pretty picture we saw of all the development in the park and stuff, that's way down the line. And that was Kayla, that was a really good explanation, because I was also sort of wondering like the process, and it does make sense. Like this, I guess, the starting point for the process for both the municipality and for this group as well. It has to, I guess, start in this sense. Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, through you, Chair, for just more clarity for myself. It just seems like it's the motion is two very big asks. There is the zoning change that's being asked, and then there is the amending of the institutional permitted uses in an institutional zone. So I'm wondering if maybe those should be separated, and because the amending the institutional uses is a very broad public. It goes beyond just this one PID. This is now going to be all of West Hants, and all institutional zones are now going to be permitted to run daycares. And I'm curious if that should have been a separate discussion and then maybe worked into, and then look at the rezoning if it's something that daycares fit into.
I see, I know what you're talking about. I see that it's definitely two things that we're talking about. I think that for it is, the first part is very specific, for this specific PID, for this rezoning, but you're right about the second part. It does sort of open it up to a potential wider conversations. But maybe Will could comment on this. I do see how perhaps like both of these things sort of are needed, to move the process along. And I think that's maybe why. I mean, I've seen motions with more than one sort of thing in them before, but I do recognize that there are two separate things here.
Yeah, through Chair to the committee members. So maybe just add some more context through staff research in our neighboring municipalities, for example, like Kings County and East Hants, daycare center are commonly permitted in the institutional zone. And so that is why along other community-oriented service, like schools are also permitted in the institutional zone. So we, in staff opinion, this adding this uses to the future institutional zone would actually be more aligned with the MPS and also aligned with the best practices. So if that answers your question.
No, it does. Thank you, Blair Hung. But to further that, I did look at all the uses for the institutional, and schools are one that's there, but just about everything there is community funded type stuff, not private business. And is this can daycares be a private business, or is this just for nonprofit association type community funded businesses?
Yeah, Kayla.
Only from my perspective, sitting on the board of a daycare, they are if they are a licensed daycare center, are provincially funded. If it's an unlicensed daycare center, then that's the potential that it's private. But if it's a licensed daycare center, they do receive provincial funding. But I think this applies to both.
Yeah. Okay, additional questions or comments about the motion? So yeah, we're looking at two kind of things in one motion together. And I know you've all, and also I know you've all, read the file and you've sort of gone through everyone's public comments and things like that. And probably most of you watched the PIM that happened as well. Additional questions or comments or yeah, Mark, you go ahead.
Sorry, Chair. I feel like I'm the only one with
That's okay.
questions. I don't mean to hog the mic. The other comment I do have is, and I'll always make this comment when it comes to agricultural property and open spaces. This is another loss. I don't see much protection or development of agricultural zone properties and open spaces. I did listen to the public come in during the PIM to talk about this. I mean, they talked about the walking trails there. They talked about the old ball field. There's a basketball court there, outdoor recreational. They talked about the historical things they have up there. I'm not sure the historic connection at that area, but they do have some stuff there. That stuff, none of it is permitted use in the institutional zone. So that community would lose all of that. And I'm just, preferably, I like to see the municipality building on and protecting those open space areas, whether it's just be mowing the grass or someone to walk their dog on. We do invest a lot of money in other communities. We've got Elmcroft here and the rink and all that stuff here. I don't know why we wouldn't maintain an open space for the Walton community and just sell it off. So I'm all for daycare. I know it's a needed thing for that area as well. I would much prefer to see the zoning stay, or at least maybe change to institutional to allow for a development agreement. But I don't know if they would build a structure if they didn't own the land. So I am a little hung up on losing open space in the community.
And not to be contrary, but I was thinking about this earlier today because my impression of the process in some ways was that I think that this, in a sense, is, and I can't interpret what the municipality is thinking, but this is sort of, it can be interpreted as an investment in that community. It's something that certainly community members are seeking. And I know that the municipality have this asset, this space, and they have other spaces around. And we've talked about divestment, like around this table before, and sort of that process and the advantages and disadvantages of that. But my impression from the beginning with this file, even before it sort of came to our email, was that I interpreted it as this was the municipality sort of trying to be helpful in a way, like trying to make, and I don't know how much the land is going to cost, but the impression I got was that it would be very inexpensive and that the process potentially could be made easier because of the community need, which is what I wrote down. And yeah, that was my impression of it. I agree with you. I see farmland lost everywhere, and the MPS and all these things that we talk about, like there's room for improvement in everything, even protective measures. This is a committee that could certainly sit down together and come up with something like that to recommend to council, because that is something that we can do. But that was sort of my impression of this file. In the farmland, of course, I used to drive by that every day. I used to teach out there. It's beautiful. I don't know who had your light on first, Abe or Jane. Do you want to go ahead first? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm in favor of the rezoning to potentially allow this project to go through. I don't see it so much as a lack of or a loss of an open space. I liken it to the playground I live right next to. It belongs to a school, which is run 10 months of the year, but it's open before school starts, after school ends, on the weekends and summer vacations. It's open there for everyone to use, not just because it belongs to the school. So whatever they put on this piece of property will be still open and available to the community. And so that's how I'm looking at it, as a use that isn't going to be enhanced rather than just an open field for ball or whatever you might have been doing on it before, but it's going to be enhanced. And that's my take on allowing the rezoning to go ahead.
Thank you, Jane. Guido, I do see you have your hand up, but I'm going to let our mayor speak first. Go ahead, Abe.
Yeah, through you, Chair Carr, I have to agree with Citizen Member Davis and yourself on your previous comments. I think this is a great opportunity, or a great example of the municipality listening to the community, which the open space is within, and listening to what they want to use the open space for. And it's a much needed endeavor that will benefit not just the direct community, but the overall community as well surrounding. Yeah, completely support it. It's a great initiative.
Thank you. Guido, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, as much as I totally share the concerns of Mark, I also agree with Jane, Abraham, and you, Chair, on the fact that this place is a necessary and needed thing that also will allow, as I see in many places with schools and kindergarten or big spaces that then are available to the public openly. What I'm not clear on, and I would love an understanding from our planners, is with the second part of the sentence, are we opening ourselves up as a municipality to what happens in common law, which is a precedent, meaning that we are now allowing that category in all that category to happen by default, or not, or this is something that is just for this case and is not creating any precedent of any type.
So Guido, the two things we're going to do, and I think I can answer both your questions. So the first part is, of course, just this lot in particular, that one PID. And the second part, you're correct, would sort of open up the industrial zones, I guess, in West Hants to this type of development. Yeah, or I believe. Yeah. Oh, do you want to go ahead?
Hey, Guido, just to kind of add in is that I think this suggestion for this change is going to occur anyways further down the road when we see the new document via planning staff that will be there for public consultation too. But this is a recommendation that's going to be made then at that point anyways. So yes, it's being made for this file, but it's going to be coming regardless of this file.
Is that
Yes.
exposing us to a possible risk of losing more land without a saying? Because I'm always concerned that the operations done by a government or a municipality or a province, doesn't matter, that open up to completely changing then with the precedent in common law as we are in the United Kingdom, which we are, opening us to not having a saying anymore after we say yes.
Through you, Chair. Maybe I'll just try to add some clarity around this. So the second part of the sentence basically just adds daycares as a permitted use to the institutional zone. So this doesn't speak to any other municipally owned properties, and it doesn't make it it doesn't allow daycares to go on other municipal properties as of right. It would still have to go through a separate process of deeming the land surplus and then considering a new zone depending on what the intended future use of that zone is. So the second part of the sentence just adds daycare as a permitted use in the institutional zone. And this is based on, as Planner Hong mentioned, best practices in Nova Scotia. We've also noticed, just kind of to touch on the plan review, that there has been a recent push to more widely permit daycare uses in most zones because it is something that there is a need for in many communities. So, we sort of compare it similarly to a school where, a school can be private or public. We do have private schools on institutional properties in West Hants. So we can have public and private daycares as well. There's precedent to having that more widely permitted across most of our zones.
So basically, thank you. What we are saying is, okay, we add this category to the institutional category.
Yep, that's correct, Guido. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mark.
Yep, just one last comment, Chair. If I just want to be clear in my position on this, I am 100% for if the majority of the community wants this, and I for sure would support them on that. I think it is a need for the community. I just wanted to comment on the just a few comments that were made from other committee members about community use. I just want to make sure we're very clear. Once the land is theirs, it's now private property, and I have grandchildren in daycare now, and there is no going in a daycare facility and using their property and that sort of stuff. There's doorbells and gates and locked doors. So I have very large doubts there'll be community access to the premises where the kids are anyway.
Through you, Chair, to the committee member, maybe I can add some more clarity through my discussion with the Hantshore Childcare Association representative. So because currently the land was leased to the Upper Burlington Community Hall Association back in the year of 2000, and I do got a email from the Community Hall Association that they are actually in support with their initiative to build a childcare facility on their subject lot. And through my discussion with the Hantshore Childcare Association, they have expressed that they are in favor of maintaining the current recreational purposes for the land for the future use in the community. So if that adds more clarity and to your concern.
Yeah, thank you, Planner Hong. That does. But my concern is also the outdoor recreational activity and historic stuff is not a listed permitted use in institutional.
I can probably double check with our development officer, but from my recollection, basically recreational uses is permitted anywhere in any zone. You don't have to be specifically in an open space just in order to build a playground or historical display on the property. But I can double check with our development officer.
I know in that community, there's a great example already, like further down the road at Dr. Arthur Hines Elementary School. They have a great outdoor space. It's one of probably the best ones of any elementary school. So there is a culture in the community of sharing space and all of that. Yeah, Abe, go ahead.
Took the words out of my mouth, but I'll also make the recommendation for debate on it. The PACHEC recommends that council give first reading, hold a public hearing to consider amending the maps of Schedule A of the West Hants land use bylaw to rezone the lot as identified as PID 4528-5103 from open space to institutional zone, and amending the text of the West Hants land use bylaw to add daycare centers, licensed or non-licensed, as a permitted use in the institutional zone as shown in the report number 25-20 to the Planning Heritage Advisory Committee dated October 9th, 2025.
Thank you. Would anyone like to second this for further discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All right, thanks, Will. That was great. So further discussion about this file. Is there anything else you all would like to talk about? I know sitting around the table, we always have a lot of questions, and with something like this, we're always thinking about the future. I always am with things that we see ahead of us, but it's tough to not put yourself there and think about what it could be, or you know what I mean? We're always hopeful, I think, for the best turnout. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think just to echo when I test this mic before the meeting, it works really good, but I discover that I've got to be right on top of it. So I think there's been a lot of really good comments made about this around the table, and it is about getting to what is a good use for the community based on what exists today, and there's significant demand today for daycare, and it will continue growing as we continue to grow as a province and as a region. There's more people coming here than we've seen before, so that's a given. So I think it's a really good purpose. I also understand the concerns with agricultural land and it disappearing. I think we talked about this a lot before, though, that based on its size, its contribution to significant agriculture is less than. It doesn't make it any easier to see it slip away from that purpose. But I think we end up we're balancing the scales here to see where we land on it. The only other comment I guess I wanted to make is that the last question that was asked by Member Keogh here is it related to the recreational purpose. And I don't know that that's a deciding factor for anybody, to be honest with you. I think, it's the land there for its use and its purpose, but I'm not sure that I recall it that recreation was something permitted across zones and so on. So it's something that I think is worth taking a look at. I don't know if acting director has been able to check on that or not, but it's just worth knowing that as we're sitting here in the vote, if the recreational purposes is permitted across the zone regardless.
Thank you, Jim.
Can I just clarify something? Thank you, Chair. With outdoor recreation. So outdoor recreation is added into our land use bylaw to talk about things like a baseball diamond or sports fields or an area where you might have spectator sports. That's sort of what is considered outdoor recreation. But trails and playgrounds, which you would see in a schoolyard, are permitted in an institutional use. So it's not really considered as part of a use. It's kind of just, you want to build a trail around your property, you certainly can. It's not something you would need a permit for or would have to look to the land use bylaw for. So that's the distinguishing factor there.
Thanks for the clarity on that.
Okay. Further comments? Yeah, Mark.
I'm just curious if this was to be added to a permitted use for institutional, this does mean that all community halls could open daycare businesses now to supplement revenue if they wanted to?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know enough about like organizations and childcare really to have a sense of it, but maybe the planner. Yeah.
Yeah, if the community hall was in an institutional zone and it met the other requirements within that zone, then yes, it would be a permitted use.
The HMCC have a summer recreation program. They're an institutional whatever as well. So that's, I think they're a good example too of outdoor recreation and space and public space, because really accessibility is what you're kind of asking, right, Mark? It's like, are people going to be able to use whatever's there is really what we're kind of wondering. It's like, yeah, just everybody. Can everybody use it like they can? The playground beside Jane's house, my house, same playground. So yeah, we hope certainly. Okay, Guido, your hand is up.
Well, what Mark asked and the answer I heard is actually quite interesting because it opens this possibility to a complete unthought of opportunity here for community center that maybe don't need to be anymore a community center, becoming a daycare facility for child, which might be needed, and it's already in place and probably is not stealing any farmland to anywhere. So that is a very interesting thought that is now coming available. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions? I don't see any lights on. So we have a motion and it's been seconded. I think what we'll do is we'll put to a vote and see how we all feel about it. So I'll read it one more time. The recommendation is that PACHAC recommends that council give first reading and hold a public hearing to consider amending the maps of Schedule A of the West Hants land use bylaw to rezone the lot as identified as PID 45285103 from open space OS to institutional I zone, and amending the text of the West Hants land use bylaw to add daycare centers licensed or non-licensed as a permitted use in the industrial zone as shown in the report number 25-20 to the Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee dated August 9th, 2025. I can't believe you guys do that all the time. That's a lot to read. So we'll put this to a vote. All those in favor of this motion, hands up. It looks unanimous to me. Anyone opposed? Hands up just in case I'm missing something. Okay, so this motion has passed. Thanks, everybody. That's great. So we're going to move on to our committee Q&A dashboard. And there's just a couple of items, and I want to thank staff for following up on these things. One of them is very exciting to me that you all came up with and sorted out in the last meeting. So the first one was the 45 million in industrial construction, which we guessed, and thank you for following that. That was from the Business and Development Activity Report from last month. And the second one was is the required number of accessible parking spaces. And I think that this is a really interesting thing. I don't know if you guys have more info about this, but yeah.
Yeah, certainly I can share my screen. Yeah, so basically, during our last committee meeting, we heard some concerns from the committee members about accessible parking requirements in West Hands Regional Municipality. And so staff have completed a review, and so just give everyone a better understanding, staff did identify a discrepancy in our current land use bylaw, which doesn't really align with provincial regulation. So for example, under our bylaw, a 72-unit apartment building would require only one accessible parking space, while the Nova Scotia Building Code and accessibility regulation would require 4. And just scroll down a little bit. So you might be wondering what provision apply now. And I just want to make really clear that our land use bylaw actually says that when it comes with conflict or inconsistency with provincial or federal regulations, the higher or more requirement shall prevail. So in this case, for this application, the developer will have to provide at least 4 accessible parking space. And I have confirmed with our building official, and they say the same thing. So which they have to align with the Nova Scotia Building Code because that is a higher regulation. And also to address this inconsistency, updates have been made through the plan review project. The new wording will require that barrier-free parking space shall be in accordance with the requirements as per the Nova Scotia Building Code Act. So this will ensuring alignment with the provincial standard and clear direction moving forward. So that's my quick update. And I also do want to thank this committee for bringing this up. And it's also a learning opportunity for myself since I am not necessarily an expert for the building code. So I do want to express my thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. And I just want to also say thanks to all of you for picking up on that and for righting a wrong, because it really feels like that's what happened here. Jane, go ahead.
Thank you. So for the 72 units, it's 4. What is the increment in spaces?
Yeah, that's a good question. So based on my recollection, so for above 100 parking space, it will require additional 1 accessible parking space for every 50 regular parking space provided. And I don't have the exact number, but that is just based on my best recollection for the requirement in the current Nova Scotia Building Code.
Just a follow up. So it's for every 50 units, you would have to have 1 accessible.
That actually is for when the required parking space is above 100. So I think if the required parking space is less than 100, I think that is maximum 4 accessible parking space. But if there's 101 or 150, they will be required, like I think additional 1 accessible parking space.
So what is the minimum number?
1. if I think the minimum one is for every for 5 parking space, provided for 5 regular parking space, that will be require 1 acceptable parking space. And if because this is a category like ranking, so but for a 72 unit building, the required accessible parking space under the Nova Scotia Building Code is actually 4.
Just if I may share, it looks like basically they do kind of like if you have 1 to 10 parking stalls, one of the stalls needs to be barrier free. And then there's sort of a next bracket of between 10 and 40, let's say you have to have 2, and then 40 to 70, you have to have 3, and then 70 to 100. And then after that, it's every 100, there's 1 more. So it's not an easy, like, for every 10, you have to have 1, or it's not an easy multiplier. It's sort of incremental as Will mentioned. But our land use bylaw, even though it is incorrect, we would always refer to that higher order plan, which is the building code, which, as we all know, changes quite frequently. So that is kind of the intent of this proposed language, is to sort of, refer to the building code so that we don't have to keep updating our bylaw to kind of maintain that standard that's constantly changing.
Jane.
Thank you. So we'll be seeing this kind of wording in the development agreements going forward for multi-unit.
So for development agreement, there's a specific clause in our regular template for development agreement specifically says that the development agreement doesn't exempt the developer from complying the provincial regulation. So we already have this safeguard clause in place for development agreement.
Okay. Any other questions about dashboard? Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm really glad that this came up as well. The only question I have, based on what we talked about here, is when we trip over the volume increment, is it going over it by 1 that triggers the additional parking space, or does it, like, where does it trigger the new space? It's not, if it goes up 1 for every 50, we don't wait till we get to 50 that there's 1. It's when you go to 101 that creates the requirement for the space. Do we know that, or if we don't know it, maybe we can check into it?
Yeah, I believe I just have it up here, but I'd probably refer to our building officials more
Sure.
specifically for interpreting the building code. But it looks like 1 to 10 spaces, 1 accessible parking, 11 to 35 triggers the next one, 36, and
That makes sense. That's great. Thank you.
Okay, I think what we'll do is move on now to business arising from the public information meetings. So there are 2. There's the Kemp Shore and 3 Mile Plains. Those are the two files. So yeah, did you guys want to tell us anything about those ones? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Just give me 1 sec. Let me pull up my. So in terms of the application for the Kemp Shore, this application was a rezoning request to rezone the property from rural commercial to general resource in order to build a single unit dwelling on the property, because the current zoning only allows residential uses in conjunction with a commercial use. And the public information meeting was hosted yesterday, and with only 1 public member attending, and there were no comments at the meeting. And I will also provide another update for the application in 3 Mile Plains on behalf of Alex. So this application was a development agreement request to allow 3 multi-unit residential buildings. The public information meeting for this application was hosted on October 9th with 25 members of the public attending. Comments from the public generally raised issues regarding stormwater, rural compatibility, traffic increases, and walkability, and additional environmental concerns.
Thank you. Mark.
Can I just comment on the 3 Mile Plains PIM? One public comment that wasn't brought up, and I'm wondering if we need to make a motion here to get it to council, or if it's, I'm guessing it's in the works, it's on its way to council, but was the poor communication. The residents did seem quite upset that a lot of notification wasn't given, especially to properties that were bordering the project. So I just want to get it in front of council. I'm sure it's on its way. I know Mary was there last night, and then Janish chaired it, and I'm thinking it probably will find its way to council anyway. But do we need to make a motion to get that in front of them, or do we just trust that it's going to trickle down to the next council meeting?
The sentiment that I watched that meeting as well last night, and I think that council are going to have a chat about this again, like these notifications and things, because I know that came out. Of course, the Canada Post strike isn't helping anything, and as you know, because we've gone around this table a million times about all the ways that we can maybe try to reach out to people. But having said that, there was a great turnout last night. And I know that just today on Facebook, they've extended the opportunity for the public to provide public comments for those people that maybe didn't get the notice and didn't hear about it or whatever. So yeah, I know that there have been efforts made certainly by the municipality to reach out to those people. And I know in future, like this is definitely a learning curve, I think, for all of us, because, one of the three main ways to contact people was, of course, out of commission. So then you have to rely on other things. And I remember a woman saying, I don't look at Facebook or whatever, right? Like that. So of course it's going to always be a struggle, but I suspect that council are going to have conversations about that for sure. Yeah. And even now we're talking about it, and I know a number of them are here. So like that'll help generate the conversation. But my impression was from the meeting last night that I think the public made it clear that maybe something needs to be revisited, just for future. Yeah. But I appreciate the reaction from the municipality to accommodate the people that certainly weren't able to provide comment or things.
Yeah, one of the comments from the chair, though, which was, it didn't concern me, but I just didn't know which way to go with it, was the chair didn't say, I will take this to council. He said, go talk to your counselor, right? And I just want to make sure somebody talks to their counselor then to get this.
Heard.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen, and I see lots of heads being nodded around, around the room. I'm sure it's going to be revisited, and if not, then we will revisit it here. I promise. Yeah. So we're going to move on to file updates, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. They're all things that we're familiar with. So 411 King Street, also Wentworth Road, Highway 14, and King Street, and then of course the Bear Lake Wind Farm. So there are updates provided in your package. Did anybody want to make some comments or have any questions about these updates? Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Sorry, through you, Chair. I've been getting a lot of communication in my area on the Bear Lake project. They have filed their appeal. So the public wants to know, is there room to help with that appeal? Can they submit letters? Can they submit a group letter? Can our organizations out there submit letters for the tribunal to consider or to read, to hear the sides of the residents? So I don't know what the procedure is for something like that. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, let's figure it out. Let's find out. Jane, do you want to go ahead first?
You can file to be an intervener, show that you have specific interest in that file, and more than likely you would be the group who files to be an intervener would be accepted, and then you can submit evidence, you can speak, you can have all kinds of people come and speak. Individuals can come and speak without having intervener status.
Kayla, yeah.
Just interestingly enough on that file, because I think I'm the only person who was at the DEICC meeting on Monday evening. We had a presentation. It's a health research study about how climate affects health outcomes. And within that study was tree canopy and how removal of tree canopy affects health outcomes in a negative aspect. So it just might be worth I know when we go to discuss it, but maybe spending some more time looking at that for the people who might be going to speak on behalf of residents or organizations. I was just very interested to see that.
Okay. There was before the meeting, I was actually talking to Carrie about the process because I know like the arbitration process, it can be somewhat unpredictable in the length of time it takes because you're often, solicitors and the government and all this stuff has to happen. So, my sort of inquiry was about the length of the process. And I know that council members around the table have been or seen this process happen. So I talked to the planner and I won't put her on the spot to say, how long is this going to take? But months, it does take months, but it's important for anyone who's listening. Certainly like Jane provided people with an avenue to be involved. So that's certainly something that will happen. And I do know that the municipality also, like I get the local paper. So I do see and things are posted about like the process as the process happens. It might not be enough for everyone, to not everybody gets the paper, but hopefully the municipality will also share with the public, the process or there's a way for us to see it happen. Jane, yeah, I was looking at you.
This is to Carrie, if she is able, the file number of the appeal, is that available yet? That's what you need to look it up and see all the documentations.
So while we're talking, like, so let's say I know nothing, like, let's imagine people are listening and like, where can people look stuff up? Yeah. Do you want, sorry.
Sure. Yeah. So I do have the file number. So you can find all of the information about the process and you can contact the folks at the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board. It's a different name now. So I'm trying to get used to that. So you can contact them to get kind of an idea of, how you can be involved. I know most hearings have the option to, there's like a public kind of hearing portion of it. That's usually in the evening that you can sign up to participate in that. So there are a few options to participate in it beyond what Jane had mentioned. And as for the number, it's M12505. And it's on their website. There is a section, I believe it's under quick links and then files and documents, and you can search all of the active appeals or ones that were recently closed. And you'll be able to find by that number, or even if you just look at the most recent ones, it's probably within the top ones on the list there. And through that link, you can see any evidence that hasn't been uploaded or any information. It's all publicly available, and it'll kind of be updated as we go through the process. So you can find everything on there.
That's very, very helpful. Did you say M10525? Is that correct? I think I wrote it down wrong. I want to get it. M12505. Yeah. Okay. M12505. All right. Perfect. Thank you for that. Yeah, you guys did at the same time. So Jim, you go ahead or yeah.
Well, just I think by way of process, it could help even just for people to understand. So I believe I think the record appeared on the Energy Board Tribunal's site, whatever the new acronym is. Yeah, because I still put in the old one and it just reroutes me to the website, but yeah, it's going to take a bit to get used to it. But just what the process is. So they filed, notice appeared on their website. What's the timeline? They file, the municipality probably has to make a decision what they're going to do or how they're going to address that. And what's the thing that kind of sees that? What's the initial runway look like there for that? If I go through to the acting director.
Sure. I won't speak, to the actual formal process. I'm not as familiar and I don't want to speak on behalf of the folks at NASRAB calling it. But in my personal experience, it's typically, there's a bit of behind the scenes that happens over a few months. And typically, you're looking at 4 to 5 months before an actual hearing is held, because there's a bit of back and forth and submitting evidence and kind of having kind of internal discussions with solicitors and all of that. And then once the hearing takes place, that can take place over a day or a couple of days, a couple of weeks, depending on the amount of evidence and everything that's presented. And then the decision, it takes a few months after that. So it is quite a long process. So in this case, if the hearing ends up being in, January or February of next year, we might not get a decision until later in the spring, beginning of summer type thing. So.
Thank you.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, and just a follow-up to Jim's comments on process. Another question I've been receiving quite often is what West Hants decides to do. And is there a choice whether they defend it, or because it was the will of council, they defend their position?
So again, not a solicitor and I don't work for NASRAB, but I think there is a couple options. You can settle, or you can I guess change the decision, or just wait and go through the process and have the file be heard in the hearing, and then defer it to NASRAB to make the final decision on it.
Abe, go ahead.
Great answer, but I'm not sure if maybe I'm interpreting the question a little bit wrong. Regardless of what happens, council's decision is a final decision. So if council decides to negotiate further or change its decision or come to some sort of middle ground or just stick its same course, council right now has made a decision to not accept the application. So that's a final decision of council. If that was to change in the future, council would have that discussion and go forward with that. But right now it's an application that hasn't been approved. So
additional questions or comments about any of the updates, all these files you've been seeing for months? I have to say, this is the shortest package that I think we've been sent. Tonight is my 3-year anniversary of being on this committee, 3 years. And page 57 is the very last thing. It's the activity and development report. So if everyone wants to have a quick peek at that, it's not far down in your package. It's pretty basic, I think. No anomalies or anything. Yeah, Kayla.
No,
Oh.
I'm covering because this is like a cell phone. So I hear your voice and then your voice is coming through here.
Oh, really? Is it me? Am I doing? Oh, okay. I think also wherever Counselor Bob Morton sits, that's the worst microphone. Is that where you are, Jim? Yeah. You've got to just put that thing right in your face, I think. Yeah, so no questions or comments about the building and development activity report? No. Okay, we don't have any notices from any adjacent municipal units, and there's nobody sitting back there do you want to? Yes. Okay, so we have one member of the public who's going to come and speak. Yeah, make sure you introduce yourself, please, and all that stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have some time, so tonight wasn't a big agenda, and I'm not even sure if it's the council meetings or committee of the whole where public get to speak. The package has been so long, I haven't been able to get in and speak. But anyway, my name is Mark Keogh, and I am from Upper Vaughan, and I wanted to extend my gratitude towards the municipality for our community. I mentioned the chair yoga earlier. It's a great program that came into our community from the municipality rec department. It's very well received from the seniors, especially in our community, and Holly Ross runs the program, the chair exercise program, and it's fun, and it's a packed house, and we really appreciate it, seeing that activity brought to our community. And also, I am the president of the Upper Vaughan Garden Club, and we recently worked with Kathy and Kathy, two great gals with the municipality, to obtain some of the Windsor's old planters that were around because they moved to the new planter system, which are beautiful, by the way. And Abe, thank you for rescuing one the other day. It breaks my heart to know someone's knocking those over because they really did do a great job making the town look good. But I wanted to just point out that these were probably headed to the landfill. Some of them already had. We are very appreciative to get them. We've got them at the fire hall in Vaughan. The garden club filled them. They look absolutely beautiful. We cherish them. But I wanted to point out that these two programs were brought to our community, and I hear a lot of comments all the time about, Windsor gets, all the spending, it's all in town and, we don't see it in the other communities. And we saw it in our community and we really appreciate it. The extension of it from council and from the municipal workers and stuff. And Upper Vaughan says thank you because it's beautiful out there right now with the planters.
It's kind of always beautiful out there, isn't it? It must be really nice right now. Like, oh, so good. Yeah. Go for a fall drive, everybody. Thank you, Mark. I'm going to make a comment about the planters as well. And I probably shouldn't because it's very opinionated, but I'm a small business owner in Hansport and we see tourists from all over the world. And one of the things, and I've said this to a few people, I've shared this with my local counselor. We keep a list of things that people say from around the world about our community. And they're talking about West Hants. They mentioned Windsor specifically, but our entire region. And it's a great list. I want to share it with everybody if I could. It's very, very long, but a lot of the things that people say are things like, who cleans your community? Like, why is there such a good, Jane knows there's a good vibe, in our community and stuff like that. And the planters, this is the point I wanted to get back to. I sense that sometimes there's sort of some disagreement from the public about the investment in these planters. But from a personal perspective and seeing firsthand, like as a business owner, they're so impactful and not just for the tourists and visitors that come to our region, which is part of the point. We want people to know that we take care of our place, but just for our residents as well. Like, we live in a pedestrian community, so people, and Windsor's the same. When people are out walking, these beautiful things are there beside you. And I appreciate the municipality today, the offer for people to help themselves to some of the plants. I know there were some women digging in the one outside of my shop when I left work today. So the investment is real, and I agree, Mark. I think that we can see it, and we just have to look for it sometimes, and sometimes you don't. It's just right there in front of you, big beautiful things. So yeah, I'm not supposed to comment, but we had a light agenda tonight, and hearing positive things. I'm a very positive person, so it's hard for me not to react to fellow positivity. Yeah. That's it, everybody, for tonight. So I guess, oh, Guido, your hand is up. Go ahead.
I just wanted to chime in this Hallmark movie moment of everybody around the planters. I must say that every time that Heather and I are passing through Wentworth Road, getting home or leaving, we always comment about the beauty of those planters. I know I live in Windsor. We are surrounded by that. I am delighted to know that they are in many other places of our county. But they really make a fantastic display. So great investment. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Guido. Perfect. Yeah, that's kind of our night, guys. Would anyone like to make a motion to see us off and adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor.